What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global back here with another video. And in this one, you guys have been asking me to please talk about the coordinator positions for the New England Patriots. Ever since Jerod Mayo became the head coach for the New England Patriots, we know that he believes in titles. And the Patriots were looking for a special teams coordinator, an offensive coordinator, and a defensive coordinator. Now, unfortunately for the Patriots, special teams and offensive coordinator is still a hunt, but they have at least gotten one of these out of the way, naming their new defensive coordinator in DeMarcus Covington, a name that as Patriots fans, we should all know. So we're going to break down DeMarcus Covington, his history with the Patriots, what he brings. Do I like the move or do I not? On your way in, though, guys, please make sure you leave a big like on the video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. We cover everything from draft to free agency. This is the time of the year where we start breaking down all of the news, the rumors, and how to rebuild this team. This is my favorite part of the year. This is where the creativity of this channel really comes out, and I believe this is where the best part of this channel truly comes out. We have a mock draft coming out here pretty shortly too. So make sure you guys subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you get notified every single time we post a video. But let's hop right into today's video. So defensive coordinator was a position that Jerod Mayo clearly wanted to get right because he had several different candidates from several different teams coming in for interviews. In fact, there were more defensive coordinator interviews than there were for offensive coordinator or special teams coordinator up until this point. Now, these were the coaches that the Patriots were looking at for defensive coordinator. They were looking at Tim Lukabu from the Panthers. They were looking at Christian Parker from the Broncos. They were looking at Michael Hodges from the Saints, obviously DeMarcus Covington, and then Gerald Alexander from the Steelers. Some of these, I do wonder how much of them were for the defensive coordinator position versus how much of those defensive interviews are potential positional coaches for the Patriots. Because a lot of these guys, linebackers coach, cornerbacks coach, yes, they finally have named their defensive coordinator, but Covington might not like all of the coaches that are positional coaches on his defense. He might want different positional coaches, and that's where some of these interviews could come in. It really wouldn't surprise me if Jerod Mayo knew this entire time that Covington was going to be the guy who was going to run his defense. Now, DeMarcus Covington is also very young. He's only 34 years old, so it fits kind of into this mold of these young coaches adapting to the NFL and taking on higher positional coaching jobs. A little bit about the history here, though, of Covington. In 2012, he was a UAB defensive graduate assistant. From 2013 to 2014 at Ole Miss, he was a defensive graduate assistant. From 2015, well, actually just 2015, at UT Martin, he was a defensive line coach. In 2016, at Eastern Illinois, he was the co-defensive coordinator and the defensive line coach. Then in 2017, he comes to New England. And then from 2017 to 2018, he was a coaching assistant here. Then in 2019, he started climbing the reins here in terms of coaching staff in New England, where he was an outside linebackers coach here in New England, believe it or not. Him and Jerod Mayo worked very, very close together because keep in mind, Jerod Mayo came to teach the Patriots linebackers, to teach the Patriots linebackers, in 2019. That is the same year that DeMarcus Covington also came in to teach the Patriots outside linebackers. Then in 2020 to 2023, DeMarcus Covington was the New England Patriots defensive line coach. Now I want to get into some of the players that he was coaching here in New England. What linebackers was he coaching in 2019? Which guys on the defensive line was he coaching? Just to give you insight on how his coaching actually had an impact. Now, what I want you guys to do real quick is I want you to take a trip with me real quick. Just close your eyes. We're going to take a trip together and flash back to 2019. 2019 didn't go the way that us Patriots fans wanted. The final year of Tom Brady, offense struggled, but they still had a winning season. They still were able to make the postseason. Unfortunately, didn't go anywhere, but they were still a team to watch because of their defense. And more specifically, how stout that defense was in terms of pressure that they were able to generate from their linebackers. In 2019, DeMarcus Covington coached players such as Kyle Van Noy, John Simon, Chase Winovich, and Shalik Calhoun. Now, Chase Winovich obviously had an up and down career here in New England, but guys like Shalik Calhoun in 2019 put up more production than realistically that talent should have actually put up. And then obviously John Simon and Kyle Van Noy, both multiple years in New England, both played pretty big parts and pretty big roles. Again, when you look at the talent level that they actually should have produced. Then you look at what DeMarcus Covington has done for this New England Patriots defensive line. And we could even look back to just this past season in 2023. He was a major, major reason that Christian Barmore finally popped off and became one of the best pass rush defensive tackles in the entire National Football League. Without the coaching of DeMarcus Covington on the defensive line last year, New England would have been screwed. They only had 4 wins last year, but they would have won significantly less games if the Patriots defensive line didn't show up every single week, putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. But from 2020 to 2023, these are some of the notable names that DeMarcus Covington coached on that defensive line. Matthew Judon, who had a great career in Baltimore, but came to New England and played even better, becoming one of the best edge rushers in the entire National Football League. Christian Barmore, who we just touched upon. Dietrich Wise, Devon Godchow, Lawrence Guy, Josh Uche, and Chase Winovich. Obviously, some very good names on that list. What I also really like about Covington is the fact that he's going to understand what an offense is doing for the lone fact that in college, he played football and he played on offense as a wide receiver. We've seen this many times from wide receivers who used to play quarterback or quarterbacks who used to play wide receiver. Being able to understand other positions can be very, very valuable, especially when it comes to coaching. DeMarcus Covington is going to understand how to go up against wide receivers, how wide receivers are going to move, how they're going to think, and they're going to play against them that much better. Now, I do want to also get into a little bit about what Jerod Mayo and Bill Belichick have said about DeMarcus Covington, what some of the Patriots defensive linemen over the last couple of years have also said about DeMarcus Covington to give you guys some insight from the players and coaches themselves on what to expect from him. So this is coming from Christian Barmore, who said, "The man's got wisdom. He has the mentality and he knows a lot. He's a really smart coach, and I think he does have a chance to be a head coach one day," which I also do agree with. One thing I will say is that I don't think DeMarcus Covington is a 1-year rental. I don't think he's a 2-year rental. I think that DeMarcus Covington is going to be here for at minimum 3 to 4 years before he starts to be considered for a head coaching job. Why do I think that? Well, he's 34, right? Coaches, at least in today's day and age, are not being considered till they're at least 37, which is still at least younger than we're used to seeing. It's also very different than the Patriots offense because the Patriots offense has struggled significantly over the last several years. So if an offensive coordinator comes into New England and makes this a top 5 unit next year, he's clearly going to be considered much quicker for a head coaching job versus the Patriots defense, which has been somewhere in the top 5 to 8 consistently for years and years and years. So how much improvement can this defense truly have? But another quote here is for now from Dietrich Wise, who said, "He has a great understanding of the entire defense and scheme. He can coach defensive line, linebackers, and can coach defensive backs. He sees the big picture. He's a good player's coach and can control the room." That's another big, big piece about the coaching staff this year and about what Jerod Mayo wants to do. And it's probably a big reason why Jerod Mayo hired DeMarcus Covington, is because he believes in knocking down walls, kicking down silos, and especially getting people in here that play for each other, that have a good mindset, and are players' coaches. He wants his coaches to be players' coaches just like he is. Coaches that understand the players, that can connect with the players from person to person and not just say, you know what, I'm a bigger hierarchy. I'm going to control you and you're just going to listen. And there's one more quote that I want to share with you guys, and that's from former Patriots head coach Bill Belichick, who obviously doesn't just dish out praise to anybody. And this is what he had to say about DeMarcus Covington. He said, DeMarcus does a really good job. He's coached linebackers, coached defensive line, really understands the entire defense. I'm sure he could coach a lot of positions on defense. Young guy that's really smart, works hard, has worked with, again, a lot of different types of players, even on our defensive line. That's difference between our interior guys and our outside guys is quite distinct. Pass rush, pass coverage, interior run plays, so forth. It's a lot of different techniques to coach. And what I will say is that DeMarcus Covington's ability to drop even some of these defensive linemen into coverage and coach them up to be able to hold up within coverage, example, Matthew Judon, has been absolutely outstanding. And that comes back to his experience being able to also coach defensive back. But this is going to be the New England Patriots' first defensive coordinator, at least official first defensive coordinator since 2017. And I'm absolutely ecstatic about it because you know what? You know who's calling plays. You know who to give the praise to, but you know who to give the blame to. Over the last few years, we've asked ourselves, is it Gerard Mayo or is it Steve Belichick? It's kind of been this weird mix of both. Brian Flores was here at one point too, doing the same thing. You now know who's calling plays, who deserves the blame, who you need to move on from if things aren't working out. And I'm completely on board for that. But what are your guys' thoughts on the hiring of DeMarcus Covington? This was my favorite hiring for the Patriots, and I'm really glad that they got it done, especially because I feel like if they didn't give him the head coordinator, defensive coordinator position rather, then he probably would have been out of this franchise in another year, 2 max. Let me know what you guys are thinking though in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. As always though, appreciate you guys so much for watching. And of course, never forget, go Pats.